Alrighty. Should be live. Think everything's working, looks like it. So, another week. And this time around, another update, or dev server at least. Now I just need to go get the patch notes so I don't make any mistakes, or any silly mistakes. And then we can get right into it. I should have everything noted down already in my little thing, but yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll get to everything in time. We'll get to all the changes in time. First and foremost, I will just be going over the new ships. But we'll get to the aiming system in Arcade in due time. I want to start off with probably a bit of a weird one, and that's this one, Colorado. Last update, so back in December, I think, or November. Anyway, in the last update, during its dev server, we had a Colorado-class battleship in the files. Of this battleship, there hasn't been a single trace yet this update, which is a bit of a shame, meaning that the American battleships won't get reinforced with a 16-inch armed battleship. But oh well. Maybe that'll come out anyways. Who knows? So, no, nothing other than that, there's nothing new for American ships that we know of just yet. Going to Germany, we also don't have any new ships, although we do have one that's they say are going to add. So as you can see here, LS3 replacement. A thing that they're going to do next up, it is going to replace a bunch... Oh, actually, did I see what they did? So they said they were going to replace a bunch of the reserves. Well, apparently, they're just moving the S-38 to be the new reserve for Germany. Okay, so this S-38 got moved down to 1.0. I think something else got moved down in BR as well. But I'd have to check. And these patch notes are always so difficult to read through. But yeah, let me see. Oh, it's just, yeah, this one, the S-38, used to be a 1.3 or 1.7, depending on game mode, but now this is the reserve. And LS3 will become available if you just unlock the other two rank 1s. And yeah, the thing is, right, to me, it makes sense that they will be replaced. And yes, exactly, breeding uranium. It is important to note, they are still available to research. They're not disappearing. They will still be available for research. It's just like a Kingfisher situation. You'll have to research all of the rest of the rank before you can get it. And you also keep it. Yeah, but the thing is, remember, all of the weaker reserves get replaced. So S-38 is now the new reserve. LS-3 sure wasn't weak, but that is if you're already experienced with naval. The LS3 has a gun that is quite inaccurate, not all that punchy at range, and overheats incredibly quickly, and becomes less accurate when overheating. So it's difficult for a new player to get into naval with all of those requirements on a reserve vessel. A reserve vessel should be simple to use. So I can understand why, and again, the ship is not disappearing, you can still use it. But now, on to the next few ships. We have Russia, with a new boat. The D3 is now their reserve. And the new boat is the SM4, which is kind of goofy looking. It is basically a torpedo boat with 3 Dishkas. And other than that, yeah, just standard boat stuff. I think that's also the standard Russian torpedo, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's just the same torpedo as on the G5. Yeah, this looks quite good. It's also not all that slow for realistic, so that's 48 stock. Spaded it would go 50, 52, 55, 56 kilometers an hour. Not bad. A bit on the slower side, but it's not bad. So yeah. Another new Russian coastal boat. Then we'll get on with the boats first before all the other changes. We go to Britain, which also has a new reserve, being the MTB-35, which is just the Vosper, but without the frontal 20mm. Literally the same boat. Just the rear 50 cals. And 50 cals are considerably better than the... Although they are 8 7.7s, 7.7s really are not all that good in a naval context. So, getting a new reserve for Britain as well. And then, of course, the grand old lady that I don't have unlocked yet, sadly. HMS Warspite. An absolutely gorgeous looking example of a Queen Elizabeth class battleship. RB, I'll also get to that, but I don't have Rodney yet, but I'll get to that. So yeah, here's Warspite. In terms of armor, it's to be expected. It is roll cemented, so it does have a little bit of a higher armor modifier, but an upper belt of 6 inches, main belt of 13 inches. And somebody has mentioned this to me. There's a bit of a bug going on with the armor viewer. You see, you can see the main belt, but where are all the decks? Where's the deck armor? So the armor viewer currently on the dev server isn't all that useful. Because, well, I know what the main belt is, but other than that, nothing much. X-ray, the magazine is kind of below the waterline, pretty deep, but it is kind of wide, so you might still get splash damage from long-range salvos. Rear magazine, much of the same. Engines are in between good fuel tank cover. And yeah, other than that, it is just another British 15-inch battleship. To note, however, is that the British 15-inch guns are getting a new AP shell and improved dispersion, finally. Though I haven't gotten the exact value on hand for their improved dispersion, they are getting better dispersion. And to compare to the already existing AP shell, which I think it's only marginally better, although angled pen is quite a bit better. Yeah, well, a bit better. Bursting charge is the same, fuse delay is the same. I'll look at that as well. I'll look at the crew dispersion location as well. I haven't actually looked too deep into that yet, so let's do that first, shall we? So, show crew distribution. Okay, that's good. There's no crew behind the upper belt. This is the main belt. That's good to see. Because if you look at this, okay, so no crew in the upper belt, all behind the main belt. And we go look at something like Barham, which we have presented right here. And there we go. That's the problem with Barham, is that its crew is all the way up there. And this... Well, let me just check again where that crew actually is. On Barham. But yeah, anyways, on the Warspite, the crew is a lot lower and down to the waterline. And just to make sure that everybody knows, HMS Warspite is coming after Marlborough, which does make sense. That's the battlecruiser line. I'm suspecting the eventual King George V to be in this line, and this is the more standard dreadnought line. Well, quite literally. So yeah. Warspite is going to be a nice addition. It's nothing particularly special. It is, of course, a very famous ship, and it looks to be alright. So yeah, about this 15-inch shell, by the way, this new one. If I'm not mistaken, the ones that get it are Warspite. Hood get the new one, yeah, Hood gets it. Repulse should get it. Yes. But I think that's it. Barham doesn't. And does Glorious get it? No, Glorious doesn't either. Renown should get it as well, yes. And the Russian Archangel should get it as well. Or Arkhangelsk, whatever. Yep, it also gets it. And its stock AP is also a different shell on Archangel. Or Arkhangelsk, whatever it is. So that's the Mark 12A. I think it's a different one. Might have misread. Mark 12A, and what is it on a similar British vessel? No, it's the same shell. Could have sworn I read something about it getting a different shell. Might have been a mistake. No. Oh, no, the Arkhangelsk got used to have a different AP shell for its AP shell, but now it has the same AP shell as the other British ships. That's it, Halo, that's it. So, okay, that's that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Somebody wanted to look at Rodney's Reload, which I don't own it, so I can't really look into it yet. Also, this is not a Revenge class, so no. The Soyuz is not in the dev. I want to mention, Striker, that that's a leak list from Olivia, and Olivia's leak lists don't actually talk about what's coming for the next update. They just discuss what's being worked on, period. It doesn't necessarily mean what's next, what's for the next update. So always don't look at the Olivia leak list and think, oh, that's coming next update, because that's not what they mean. Anyways, that's Britain. Actually, let me look at that for a quick second. But what I saw on 1.3 to 1.7 rounds per minute. I hope that clears things up. Alright. Then moving on to Japan, where we also get a new reserve coastal. Now this is the exact same coastal reserve we already had, but with the 25mm. In other words, the exact same boat as the premium. Although the only difference is the railing on the front. Now being railing at the rear. With the old reserve, of course, being this one with a 13.2mm machine gun. It is now a 25mm autocannon. Nothing too different, really, since we already had it. The torpedoes are the same, the depth charges are the same. So just... Yep. Yeah, different flag, I know. Other than that, we are getting a new destroyer for Japan. The Aichen Matsu. And this is a blue water vessel. It comes after the Mommy. It's a rank 1. And it is armed with the anti-air 5-inch guns. So the same guns as on the Japanese battleships as their secondaries. The same guns as on Isuzu. And yeah, these are the short-barreled anti-air 5-inch guns. They're not the destroyer 5-inch guns as you'd see on Ayanami, as on Yugumo and stuff like that. It is an anti-air destroyer. It's a bit slower compared to some others. Actually, let's see what the spaded top speed would be. 45.5. 48, 47. 50-ish kph, 51, 52 maybe. So it's a bit slow for a destroyer. It is 3.7 though, so who really cares? It gets a lot of 25mm anti-aircraft guns. It does get actual long lances, which is great. It gets 4 of them in one quad launcher. And yeah, this is a little bit of an obscure-ish late war Japanese destroyer. Always love it to see it. We'll get to these other titles here in a bit, but first continuing on with new ships. We go to Italy, which also get another new low-tier destroyer. Actually, I don't know how I'm going to butcher this name, but the Grisal? I don't know. And yes, the rear gun is a double. So it's 2 double 120s. It carries some 37s, and I haven't actually checked if these are automatic, but I think they are. And some 20s and some torpedoes. So yeah, it's all pretty fast. 62 stock, that's pretty quick. Going to 64. 67. Also, yes, sorry, Austrian, I'll get back to it, but it should be a double. And yeah, 71, 72 kilometers an hour, so a pretty quick little destroyer. It forms a nice lineup with the Dardo, which is lovely to see, you know, giving more low-tier lineup possibilities. So yeah, very cool stuff. And yeah, when it comes to Japan for the Matsu, the rear turret is indeed a twin mount. About the Matsu as well, it's a bit awkward because it doesn't really have a lineup for it, except if you of course pair it with the frigates, like the Shonan, like the Chidori. Well, actually not the Shonan, that's 3-3. But yeah, if you pair it with Chidori, you can get yourself a pretty funny, you know, late war Japanese lineup. But yeah. Then, last but not least for new stuff. And yeah, that is just the Japanese anti-air 5-inch gun. To my knowledge, it's just the same mount as on Isuzu and as on the Japanese blue water ships. So let me actually get to that first. Yeah, it's the same mount. It's that anti-air mount. But now, France gets a bunch of new boats, some of them goofy, some of them cool. This is one of them. The Marne is a 3.0 coastal vessel. So this makes it have an excellent line for us, and it does actually get a coastal spawn as well. This one is really goofy because it has 4 100 mils and 2 65mm guns. No anti-aircraft guns, yes, you spotted that correctly. No guns whatsoever. So this is, yeah, I've never heard of this ship, but it looks incredibly goofy and incredibly cool. It's a bit slow, but it gets a coastal spawn, it's big. Interestingly enough, it has no HE shell. Just SAP and AP. And not particularly good of either, really. But yeah, this is a weird ship. But I absolutely love it. And it will make an excellent lineup together with Arras. An absolutely excellent lineup with it. The reload is not that bad. Let me actually show you. It is 6.5 to 5 seconds. It's on the longer side of things, but it's not terrible. And yeah, the 65mm guns also have a good reload. It's a really, really weird boat, but I'm loving it already. So yeah, then on to another. How much did I earn? Well, a lot from the Battle Pass level stuff. Other than that, doesn't really matter. Anyways. Which class is this? It's a flower class, that's right. A flower class coming to France. In the tech tree, sitting right there. So yeah, it's just a flower class with the same kind of, you know, ammo right there. But the unique thing about this is these weird guns on the rear. These, I think they're the 57mm, they're 6-pounder guns right there. Sadly, These guns are part of the tertiary armament, so you can't really pair them together with the main gun or control them at the same time as the main gun. But it's goofy. It exists. I won't complain about the flower claws, that's for sure. And then probably on to the more interesting stuff. Or well, the slightly more interesting stuff when it comes to reserves. Is the new French coastals for 1.0. Which is... This is the old one, of course. This is the one of the current 1.0s. And it's getting replaced by this as the reserve. The exact same boat, but instead of 2 7.7s, it gets 2 13 mils. These 13 mils we're already familiar with another one of the boats, and as you can see, they're also all being grouped here together. We should already be familiar with those guns. Of course, not on these ones, but on some of the other coastals. Yeah, this is one we already had these guns on, right there. It's better, not by much, but it is better, yeah. And then we have another new boat. A pretty goofy one. So this is the one we already have. And we still have at 1.7. This is the one with the 13.2s over there and the 20 mil in the front. But now at 1.0, instead of a 20 mil, we have a 37. So they're replacing them, but you can still earn them. And what did I say? So what you have to do is, because it's all rank 1 ships that get replaced, if you research all of rank 1, these ships become available. It's a similar story to what happens with the Kingfisher in the American tree. So they're suboptimal, they're a bit too weak, that's why they're being replaced. But they're also, you know, you can still get them. You can still earn them, you can still get them even if you don't have them yet. And they're being replaced with better, more suitable boats. Ah. So the 14 would be disappearing? It'd be a bit weird. Kind of makes... it doesn't really make sense. Anyways, if you do want to still keep all of these 3 vehicles for collection's sake, you might want to just grind them out before the update hits. Because they're 1.0s, they don't take long to get. And that's all for new boats currently. I haven't seen anything being data mined yet. So yeah, that's it. That's all we know of. There are a lot of different things though. Also to that question, we don't know what submarines are going to be because they're not coming this update. Who knows? I personally think they should be in the coastal tree, but that's just me. This time around, no map changes, but there's other things I'll be ranting about, don't worry. And we'll skip over that one for now, because that's going to be the big one. This one, the bot changes, of course. Forget that. So, I haven't gone over the arcade aiming system, that's also to come. Bot rewards. I think we all know what the official named Gaijin bots are. Everybody knows them, right? They're the bots to fill in the matchmaker. Well, these bots will now give you the exact same reward as a player. So when you sink a bot, it'll give you the same amount of SL and the same amount of RP if you were to sink that exact same vessel with the exact same amount of damage if it was a player. That's interesting, to say the least. I'm definitely not complaining about it. It's a bit weird. I don't really see it as necessary, but it's definitely very nice to have. It's a nice change. It's definitely a very nice change, and it'll massively improves grinding, especially for some stuff like the 1.0, very low BR coastal. It usually has a lot of bots in it. So being able to more efficiently grind those will be very nice. They do also count toward tasks and battle pass stuff. Also, queue times have already kind of been addressed with a change that's already on live. Other than that, who knows? So yeah, that's very nice to no longer have to worry about bots for battle pass tasks, for grinding or anything. Just sync them and you'll get good rewards out of it. The BR changes is what I just went over for those few coastal vessels that are replacing the reserves. So that's not something too special. I also talked about the reserves. Okay, now comes the interesting part. The hull break mechanic. This is going to be difficult to describe in text, so I'm just going to show you what happens. So, let's go to Japan. Let's take the LCS, which is a coastal fleet. Let's actually click it. Let's test sail it. Sure thing, we'll just go to realistic battle. I'll get to the arcade aiming system in a bit, but I just probably should have shown it first, but I'll just do this first. I also need to change my volume settings because it's always incredibly loud on the dev server. So just forgive me for maybe blowing your ears out, but we'll see what happens. So, hull break mechanics. What now happens for coastal vessels, if you shoot the exact same compartment enough times to... How did they word it? Basically, if you shoot an already blackened out compartment so much that it would equal the amount of damage needed to kill the entire ship, you will kill the ship. An example of this is you have a PT boat. I have my 40 mils equipped. Let's just do this. I have now killed a PT boat by doing nothing but shooting its bow. Yeah. That's something. Now, the thing is though, conceptually I am not for this change at all, but it is still faster to just kill the PT boat with crew kills. But it's really, really not good. It's a strange mechanic, because the other thing that I don't like about it is, I'm just going to do it right. That PT boat does not know how much more damage that frontal compartment can take. Because nothing is changing about his settings. He doesn't know how much more damage that whole segment can take, and I don't know either. So if I were a PT boat captain with a blacked out bow, and I came around a corner, I wouldn't know if it would take 120 mil or a full magazine to take me out. And that needs to change. So yeah, that's a thing for PT boats. But here comes the weird part. It seems to only affect PT boats with a wooden hull. Because there are some PT boats that do not have this mechanic on the dev server. One of these examples is the SGB gunboat, the British... where is it? This one. This one does not have the hull break mechanic. We've tried it. It doesn't have it. Why? Who knows? We're assuming because it has a steel hull. So yeah. There's a lot of damage. There's a lot of testing to be done to see how this would actually work. The thing is, the reason why I'm conceptually against this mechanic is because it rewards lazy play. It rewards people for not knowing how to play the game and not knowing how the damage model works. So it's just certain... That's even worse if it's not even a general rule, if it's just certain boats. Because adding a mechanic that'll kill your boat only to certain ships, there being no indication which boats there are that have this mechanic, there being no indication how much more damage you can take, is incredibly bad. And that needs to change. But to get a little bit more lighthearted, let's look at the new arcade aiming system, shall we? And for that, what boat would be a good one? You know what? I'll take the PGO2, because that's probably the most noticeable one. Maybe it'll work. And I should be actually changing it to arcade if I want to show it off. So let's first do that. So we test sail, we go to arcade. So, to showcase the new arcade aiming system. Before, well, currently on live, the arcade aiming system is not all that different from realistic. It just removes the need to adjust for range. Well, now, let's see if I can do this without just running myself aground. All you have to do in arcade now, all you have to do is point at what you want to hit. The sight will automatically adjust where you want your gun for you. I think, will it work if I just aim at the water? I don't know. Let me see if I can do it on that guy before, you know. So if you just aim at where you want to hit, the arcade aiming system will do everything for you. Or it should. Of course, PGO2 is incredibly unstable, but yeah. All I have to do is just aim at the boat. It does rely on lock, I think. I haven't tested it too properly. Yeah, but you don't have to predict course changes. You just have to aim directly at them is the thing. That's the wild part. Let me see if I can do it with a destroyer. And there's also something else I'll have to show with destroyers. Lots of different things, actually. We'll go to a Frank Knox. Because the arcade aiming system has done something else fucky as well. Oh, that's just what I was about to do, Sam. I was just about to show it against planes. So if we test sail. And I'll aim at the... Let me just disable my gunners. I aim at the plane. If I aim directly at the plane, the arcade aiming system will do it all for you. You just have to aim directly at what you want to hit. I'm not entirely sure how this affects AI gunners, but yeah, it's something. So let's see. I'll try and compare. Don't look at this too much just yet, and don't look what my HE shells are about to do to this target. Just look at how the aiming works, right? So I'm going to aim dead center at him. I'm going full speed, right? The arcade aiming system will now ensure that my shells hit where I'm aiming. That's all I have to do. I haven't really tried this out in an actual battle yet to see how enemy maneuvers really do against it. But it's something. It's really something. So let's go to realistic, just for a quick comparison. That's not the button I wanted to click. For a quick comparison between the aiming systems. So again, I'll just go full speed and aim dead center of the enemy ship.
Target identified. Destroyer.
Oh, that's a good point. If there's actual physical cover in the way of what you want to hit, will you be able to hit them? That's a good question. I'll have to test that as well. Yeah, now I'm gonna go full speed and realistic. And yeah, that is how much the shells are deviating. So I hope that gives you a bit of a show of what the new aiming system does for arcade. And it is... On the one hand, I'm not that opposed to it. It's arcade. It's supposed to be simpler, and in arcade the ships are a lot faster, so you have to give more lead anyways. Sure. On the other hand, it's a much, much bigger divide between how realistic an arcade works, making the, jump from one to the other a lot harsher. But oh well, I guess that's just how it is. But now, that new HUD you noticed on the enemy ship, let's go over that with an Akazuki. So go in test cell. I'll go to arcade just to make it easy for me. I'll get to that as well. So, yeah, well, torpedoes in arcade are still the same for as far as I know. Let me actually see about that. It should still be the same. So let's start moving. Actually, is it also different? No, hold on. Let me switch it off. Remember that torpedoes in AB are also a lot quicker, so they don't have as much deviation because of speed difference. But let me see if I can get it on him. We'll have to lead him too much. Oh, yeah, you still have to lead your torpedoes in arcade. At least it's one thing. But now, this new mechanic right here. Let me actually see how different. Do you see those bars? So, those bars. Are you all familiar with the permanent flooding mechanic? You know, where when you do a certain amount of damage to a hull compartment, you can no longer repair flooding in there, and any kind of flooding caused will cause the entire module to, you know, flood out, do damage. This new system is to replace the permanent flooding system. So as you can see on this Fletcher, it has 7 modules. You see that? 7 segments. And just to show it again. And you can see that these segments get damaged and will appear on the HUD like that. If you destroy any 2 segments that aren't the bow or stern, so the frontmost or rearmost segments, so any of these 5 middle segments, if you destroy 2 of them, the ship is dead. If you destroy 2 segments, the ship is dead. So let's see if I can pull it off without killing the Fletcher outright, because that's another thing. High explosive shells in naval now have a kinetic penetration, you know, capability. So Japanese HE has become really good again. But let's see if I can knock out these compartments without just sinking them outright. So I'll do that front one. And then the engine. Okay, so that's 1 segment knocked out. Let's see if we can knock out the other one. That is now that Fletcher. That Fletcher will now sink in the same way that not enough crew will scuttle your ship. That ship is dead. I have done nothing but shoot at him with HE. I have barely brought down his crew. That's a dead Fletcher. Great stuff, isn't it? And as you notice, battleships have more segments. That is, if I can count correctly, 9 hull segments. So any 2 of these 7 middle segments will sink the ship. Yeah, just that Fletcher. Oop, accidentally pressed the spacebar. But that brings us on to the next one, which I will bring the Shimakaze for. Because it's just faster. Torps. We go to Shimakaze. If it wants to process my loading. Please don't crash on me now, devserver. Let's try that again. Maybe, who knows? Or we just use Yakizuki anyways, I guess. So, now we're gonna move over towards those cruisers. No, that is, yeah, it should take that into account, but it doesn't. Because they didn't think that far ahead, I guess. But we'll do some more testing about that later on, I think. But let's go towards those cruisers.
Light cruiser.
And because they introduced another damage mechanic to torpedoes. Hydrostatic shock. Which I should actually read up on what they exactly, how exactly they phrase it again. Exactly. Yeah. It's not a great system. But whilst we're sailing towards our torpedo targets, another funny thing the Akizuki can do now is detonate Fletchers. If I can actually manage to pull it off this time around.
Direct hit.
But I have before. Yep. Yep. That's a thing an Akizuki can do now. And yeah, it is kind of return of the HE meta. Because Frank Knox with HEVT, there's never really a reason to swap over to SAP unless you're fighting cruisers. If you're fighting destroyers, you'd never, ever need to take SAP. And yeah, HE and HEVT are just the same. I've played a match in the Geniere, the Italian Fletcher, to unlock the new Italian destroyer. I played nothing but HEVT during that match, and I never needed to swap to SAP. I just didn't need to. It's wild.
Light cruiser.
And you know, I really, really love getting these drastic meta and damage model changes every single time, every update. Because it makes my job so much easier, doesn't it? Like, that's the thing with my recent video I did on the AFD1. I have no clue if that has hull break. I have no clue. And I have no clue if the hull break really affects it. Does the new HE pen do anything to it? Because the HE pen, I think, is for anything above 20 millimeters. So practically everything, except for heavy machine guns. Yep. Kinetic penetration for high explosive shells is for 20 millimeter caliber and above. Okay, that's good to hear, Trick, at least. Yeah, lots of new content. The other thing, as some of you might have seen when I first heard of these hull break and this flooding mechanic things, I was livid. I was genuinely angry about it. I have made my peace with it. I still think it's not good, but they have mentioned in the patch notes that especially for the hull segments, they're working on it. They really know that 2 is most likely not good enough, and they should up it. At least that's what they make it sound like. They know that, okay, that the amount and the HP of the segments that you need to destroy can be variable. That probably should be changed. They have mentioned that. Good stuff. I still don't like the hull break for coastals because it's inconsistent, you don't have any feedback on it, and it's just not needed. I don't know why this hull break mechanic for coastal is needed.
Starboard your helm.
But I will say, as I've actually experimented, as I've played some actual matches on the live server, the hull break for coastal isn't... If you see a coastal vessel broadside on an open water, it's faster to just crew kill them by the normal way. But there's a few coastal vessels that I'm very concerned about. One of them being the Crescendo Grosse, which is a very fragile boat to begin with. And that's if that thing already also has the hull break mechanic, it's going to be unplayable. Because the only thing you could kind of do in that boat is go bow in, hide behind an island, expose just your bow, and if that's no longer possible for it, it's bad times. So let's see what one. Remember, right? If any two of these middle compartments are black, the ship is dead. If any two. That's a dead Omaha. Period. Granted, this is the 1 ton long lance. Like, this is a torpedo that's going to mess ships up. But Jesus.
Target identified.
So, combined with HE actually being usable against destroyers again, and Japanese torpedoes now being genuine ship killers no matter where they hit, it's a good time to be a Japanese main. So let's aim at the Brooklyn and see what happens to it.
Engines all back.
Yeah,
Starboard your helm.
that's, yep, that Omaha. Let's see if we can get to that battleship as well. Now, for the sake of argument, I will actually look at some less potent torpedoes as well. Because again, these are the 1 ton long lances. These don't mess about. So after this, I'll get a Frank Knox again, and I'll show you what its torpedoes can do. But yeah, if you're an arcade player, have fun. Have fun. That's all I'm gonna say. Just good luck. And I'm happy I'm not an arcade main.
Port all.
I haven't yet, Trek, and I probably should. But we are going to do some extensive testing with Sam, and we probably should get to that first.
Engines all stop.
You know what, let's just do that first. We're going to do some testing in a custom battle. So if Sam is still around, I'll get myself a lineup ready. If it wants to process the operation. If you have requests, go ahead. I'll make notes of them. Or try to at least. But it seems that my game is currently not very happy with processing operations. So let's see if we can do this. Okay. Let's see if we can have a coastal lineup. If not, we'll just make one real quick. Let's get BT-8, because that's good arcs. Let's get a Chico go because of 40 torpedoes. Let's get a PJ2. Let's get a battleship for further testing. And a Japanese destroyer, which probably should be a Nakazuki if I could. You know what? Let's take the Harukaze so we can see what American 5-inch does. It was the AFD-1 I reviewed. So, the one of the 88s. And I'll get ourselves a custom battle ready. We'll do African Gulf, because that's always a good one. This version's fine, because Coastal Sponsor Cruiser. Also, this is a new option I've seen in custom battles, and I have no clue what it means. But it doesn't really matter either way. And we shall invite Sam to session. Also, testing HE pen over 20mm. I do have a 20mm in this lineup. So, okay. Let's just ignore that error. And let's see what we do. So, yep. I'll take out the PGO2, just because it'll be the fastest at killing stuff, I think. And you take some coastal vessels. And we'll just be around the sea point and see what we can do. That is something I'm willing to do as well. Yeah, that's something we can do, definitely. I could do it with the Fuso, but big British HE would be funny. I think, did we put it to realistic or arcade? I forgot. We'll find out. So, the question now is, with these experiments, is can the ships I will test, can they hull break, and how difficult is it? Well, I'll go over to B. Good point. Okay, I do have the... Yeah, I do have the rapid fire at least. I'll just try and find my target. There he is. So, can the AFD-1 be hull broken? I'm gonna get to your side, because head on like that I'm just gonna rip straight through all of your guns, I think. Or you're gonna present broadside as well, whichever's faster. Let's try to not overheat my gun. And it doesn't really immediately seem like you could kill this thing with a hull break. That, again, I've mentioned. From what I've seen, what I've been seeing playing French coastals to get those new boats, it's actually just quicker to crew kill them the normal way compared to hull breaking. And again, you don't actually know if they are hull breakable or not by just looking. And that's the thing that's just probably change. Because I don't know. Can I hull break the AFD? Can I not? And if it's a system designed for people to give them the ability to just get kills without getting the last hit or without sniping those last compartments, if it's to simplify the damage model, arbitrarily assigning this damage type to whatever boat without telling people what boat can be hull broken doesn't simplify anything, it just makes it more difficult. So yeah. Yes, I think you can trigger the hull break with any kind of armament. So, Sam, if you're willing to just take the other boat, and we'll test it. Any other boat. Or I can just... Yeah. There we go. Because I'm kind of curious how quick a PJ2 can hull break a normal PT boat. But yeah, also, as you can maybe anticipate, my reviews are going to be on hold until the live, this update goes live and stuff actually changes, because there's no point in reviewing a ship if the entire damage model drastically changes and the meta changes it with it. So let's see. Arguably, I could have killed him way quicker just spraying the gun left and right, but still.
Target identified.
Does he have spawn protection? He still does. Let's just wait until it wears off. There we go. Yeah. And as Sam says here, MZ1 has a steel hull. It doesn't hull break. This is the MZ1. Doesn't hull break. This is the assumption a lot of my friends and I have made, is that if it's a steel hull, it can't hull break. If it doesn't have a steel hull, it'll hull break. But as somebody else has mentioned, there's some Russian boats that are steel hulls that can be hull broken. It's really, yeah, that's also the thing. If that American steel PT boat, that, yeah, it becomes a lot more valuable if it's really the case that steel cannot be hull broken. And yeah, I'm convinced that MZ1 cannot be hull broken. So what you can do... Of course I overheated my gun there, but it's... yeah. But if you don't know whether a ship you're shooting or not can be hull broken, it's a pointless mechanic, because it'll just cause more confusion and more posts and more angry chat messages of people saying, why wasn't I able to sink you? It's a thing. It's on the boats that have hull break. I don't think it's that poorly implemented, because it is decently more damage than you would by just, you know, raking the entire ship with fire. But it's still weird. It's awkward. You don't have any feedback. You don't know how much damage the segment can take. You don't know if the boat you're shooting at has hull break or not. It's confusing. And the last thing naval needs is another damage mechanic that's confusing. And the thing that I mostly don't understand is, why was this needed? Why did we need to have a mechanic that allows you to just shoot the same spot over and over again and sink a boat? As some of you might have seen when I was a bit more passionate about this topic yesterday when it was revealed on the dev stream, I would equate this damage mechanic as, let's say you're playing ground, right? You're playing a tank. You're playing a Panther, right? And somebody shoots your upper front plate with 75mm high explosive shells. Just over and over again, not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, you die. Because he shot X amount of high explosive shells, your weld's cracked, your tank is now dead. That is what this mechanic is like to me. I don't see the point. It rewards people that don't know what they're doing and just shoot the same place over and over again. Of course, you could say, okay, it's to counter camping or you know, camping around corners, you know, hiding behind a rock, just shooting over it, just exposing one hull segment. But on the other hand, why did that need to be countered? Why is good positioning and knowing your ships and sightlines and knowing your maps something that needs to be countered or punished in this way? I've seen somebody else on another server say, okay, this is something that needs to be countered. People should not be allowed to camp behind, you know, an island and shoot with only one segment exposed. But then I've never seen people complain about tanks going hull down. You know, that concept of a heavy tank or anything just being in a good position and thus being survivable because they know the map, they know where to go, they know the strengths of their vehicle. It's weird. I don't see the reason behind it. So now that should be the steel-hulled PT boat, which it is PT-811. Just not wanting my gun to overheat. It doesn't seem to hull break. Now, Sam, you wouldn't happen to have the PT-810 at the ready? Also, I need to refill my ammo. Or the whatever the Tech 3 equivalent of that vehicle is. The one with the wooden hull. And I want to see if I can shoot that. And if that hull breaks,
Hold your helm.
yeah.
Hold your helm.
Yeah, exactly. It gives wooden boats a major disadvantage that they didn't need. They really just didn't. Yeah, exactly. Like you say, wood was already not. Again, wooden boats weren't tanky. It's not like they, you know. One thing I have seen, one argument I've seen people bring up, is that some boats, if you shot them with large caliber HE, wouldn't break.
Action station.
You know, like if you shot a wooden PT boat with a 5-inch HE shell, sometimes they wouldn't hull break. And that's something that might be an argument. But then again, why just wood boats? Why not all PT boats? So again, this is PTA 10. This boat has a wooden hull. Hull breaks. Because, you know. Yeah. But the thing is, Striker, no they won't. Because this cumulative hull break things means that if you get hit by a large caliber shell, it might just be enough damage to instantly hull break you. Even if you... It's like two different hull break mechanics. One being based on sheer kinetic force of a single impact. The other one being based on cumulative damage done. And both coexisting is really weird. It's just... It's also inconsistent because the single Alpha Strike one exists. Okay, that's a thing. It's pretty consistent. All boats have this. It's based on gun caliber and just Alpha Strike. But this cumulative damage is, you know, you don't know how much damage you're doing to something. You don't know what ship has it. It's weird. Also, yeah, it could be. It could be that that's a feature that not. Yeah, I know. It's not complete yet. It's very possible that it's a dev server. It might not just have been applied to all ships yet. But yeah, it's just weird. Okay, that was an ammo rack. Yep. Now, do we want to do some battleship testing? And see what HE does to a Scharnhorst.
Engines. Flank speed.
Of course, this isn't the funny British HE, but still. Let's see what it does.
Engines. All stop.
You say that, Striker, but it really isn't. I've had this argument with a few other people yesterday as well, saying that G5s are really tanky. It isn't. You just need to know where to shoot it. Because a G5 at full, if your, of course, the testing environment wasn't completely realistic to a actual battle, you just need to shoot them where it counts. Exactly. So, just come to a halt, and I'll pepper you with high explosive. Scharnhorst also has, let's count. I think that's 9 segments, so 7 that count towards the flooding death. And I'm just going to shoot center mass, try and knock out, see what happens. So let's see what I can do. Of course, this will take a while with long reloading guns. Those all hit high. If a high explosive spam doesn't work, I'll see if AP does. Because this is not something I've tried out myself yet. There goes some minor damage to the front segment. Actually, that's several segments there in the bow. That might be more interesting to shoot. So you can kill a Scharnhorst eventually by high explosive spamming its hole near the turrets. Seems actually be quite a lot faster than eventually. That will be a good test as well. I'll need to disable those gunners. Like the American standard, stuff like that. I've almost killed a Scharnhorst. Almost. You just need to hit that second frontal turret. Come on. Need to actually hit that area. And there it is, dead Scharnhorst. And how many HE salvos did it take? So I went from 1080 to 1008, so 72 shells and 12 guns. No, it's not 89%, yeah, it's 89% crew, but 2 segments down, it's flooding. Because this is a system we needed, wasn't it? But yeah, the thing is, they did make... They stated in the patch notes for the dev server that they want to tweak with the amount of hull segments required and the amount of damage per... Yeah. Is it really 6 salvos? It doesn't seem right, does it? Yeah, no, that is just 6 full broadsides. 3 minutes. Dead Scharnhorst. As this is the weird part. I know he's flooding still, but it seems like the flooding is a bit inconsistent with how quickly they sink. Yeah, the secondaries did do quite a bit as well. But still, the secondaries are what? They're 6-inch guns, also loaded with high explosive, by the way. Those weren't SAP. But the thing is, look, the Scharnhorst is now just stuck at 29%, which shouldn't be what's happening. Should be sinking a lot quicker. Let's see if we...
Target identified. Battle cruiser.
So the flooding is weird. It's also, again, inconsistent.
7,000 meters.
I swear to God, Sam, every time you make the joke. You know what? I'll give you something to think about real quick. There we go. But yeah, so imagine you're reading the patch notes and they say, okay, if you destroy X amount of segments, the ship is now dead. I destroyed X amount of segments. The ship is not dead. Fun. Consistent gameplay mechanics, isn't it? So, there's a request from for some other battleships. I'm going to take a Mutsu, because it has a faster rate of fire. Where did I put my Mutsu? I think it's this. Okay, game. I didn't think I readied up, but sure. Yeah, it's definitely HE meta again. Although it didn't seem to do much to the... Why am I... No, not ready. Not ready. Hello. Okay. Okay. It seems that the servers really don't want me to change stuff. We could do some Marlboro HE memes now. Well, let's do some Marlboro HE memes. See what that does.
Prepare the ship for battle. Engines, flank speed. Starboard all.
Hard starboard, aye.
Engines, all stop.
Bomber. Ahead.
Now, there is another way you can see this. It means that the stock high explosive on most battleships is now actually useful. I guess.
Short.
You see, it's... When I heard about these mechanics yesterday, I genuinely couldn't become excited for any of the new ships anymore. Because this... I already know that this mechanic is going to give me a headache. And a severe one at that. And it's really, really just mood killing every time. Look, okay, new ships. We might finally see the Colorado. We might finally see some more exciting ships. And incredibly, 2 new damage mechanics nobody asked about, nobody asked for, that drastically changed the meta. HE shells now do actual damage. They can actually kinetically penetrate ships. Torpedoes will now wreck entire ships. Just so many drastic changes to mechanics. And at the same time, right, all of these mechanics change. 7.0 is still our maximum BR. No decompression. We did get a bit of a research improvement thanks to the bot rewards, but the shooting up of the bridge I'll test, sure. 7.7mm AP will probably be a pain, but I'm willing to test it as well. Anyways, let's see what 13.5-inch HE will do.
Shells on target.
At this rate, French car, we might as well. Now, has that already damaged one of your central hull segment?
Near hit. Enemy hit.
Now, whilst I can't test it right now, I did see my friends test out was an Italian battleship against the Nelson. And the Nelson is ridiculously easy to flirt as well without hitting the main armor belt.
Enemy hit.
But that was Sharn against a Nelson, okay. Slowly but surely I'm whittling away to Sharn. But it's definitely not... 2 hull segments shouldn't be it. It should be 3 or 4. At least. And they did already recognize that shooting the bow and stern, the lightest armored segments of the hull with the least amount of spare buoyancy, didn't really make sense for this mechanic, so... It's, like... I really want to believe that they are thinking about this mechanic on how to implement it properly without busting the meta. But 2 is definitely too little, and everybody knows it. Also, I'm drifting so my rear guns no longer have angle on target.
Hell, hard aport.
So let's change that.
Here, hit.
If I can, or this thing's incredibly slow, rudder.
Short. Engines, all stop.
I don't know, that's the thing. I don't really want to make these grand sweeping statements about meta because I just don't know. Something. First of all, it's a dev server. Shit can change. Second of all, you can't properly test actual battle conditions until it reaches the live server. Now, luckily, a bit of common sense can already tell you that 2 segments is too little. It needs to be bigger, especially when ships have like 9 damageable segments. Knocking out 2 out of 9 should not be enough to kill a ship. About it, by the way, another argument I've seen people make for the hull break is that it's realistic. Nah, that is a weak excuse for something like that. Just because something seems realistic doesn't mean it's actually good for a video game. And something I'm ready to throw back at people saying that it's a realistic change is that they should add hull break based on cracks, on welds cracking in ground battles. Because that's realistic. You know, 75 motor HE several times on the front plate of a Tiger. Should kill it. Cracks the weld, cracks the plate, you know. But if you were to actually suggest that, if that were to ever actually happen to ground battles, I can guarantee you there'll be riots. But oh well. Just the rantings of a naval player, I guess. I think it's because it had more guns. And, you know, more guns, higher rate of fire. I'm also actually shooting at his armored bit, and not just his turrets. And there we go. That should be a dead Scharnhorst. Should be. The thing is, I am really conflicted about things like this as well, because what it does do, it does give you another way to sink ships that you otherwise couldn't sink. Because, look at me here. Let's say I'm in a stock Marlborough. What can I do against a Scharnhorst if I'm stock? Well, now I can flood him out by just HE spamming his hull. The problem that is the thing with these kind of damage mechanics is that they should not... How do I say this? In my opinion, a way to sink a ship that is less skillful, so to speak, or requires less thought, less, well, skill, shouldn't be easier, or how do you say it? Shouldn't be... it's difficult to word this. Let's say you have a skilled player, right? If they have the necessary skills, if they have the necessary knowledge, they should be able to sink a ship quicker than somebody who doesn't. However, if there's a mechanic that allows both players to sink a ship in the fastest way possible, that way being the exact same way, I think that's the word, right? A mechanic that is easier to perform and requires less skill shouldn't be the optimal way to sink a ship. Also, the Scharnhorst seems to be stuck at 44% for the time being, but yeah. And that's my worry with these kind of mechanics. And Scharnhorst is a bit of a difficult thing for that, because there is no other way to sink a Scharnhorst. There is no optimal way. This mechanic will automatically become the optimal way to sink a Scharnhorst. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be the optimal way for all battleships. Luckily, it already doesn't seem to be the optimal way for destroyers. It's still way easier to crew kill them, if you know what you're doing, in my opinion. I haven't really tried out cruisers, but I assume it's going to be much the same. But it's these battleships that are really difficult to get a grasp on whether or not this is a balanced mechanic or not. Well, it isn't with 2 segments, but will it be with 3? Will it be with 4, 5? I don't know. It's always difficult. And yeah, Scharnhorst is still tanky. Scharnhorst is still the tankiest ship in game. That's what I'll say. Is it overpowered? Arguably, because it's fast, tanky, has torpedoes, decent guns. Not the best guns, but decent. And oh look, the Scharnhorst is stuck at 29% buoyancy again. Again, it is a dev server. It's open until what, like the 6th? So next week? Stuff is going to change. I hope they'll really tweak with this model. I am going to keep a close eye on it, obviously. That could probably work, yeah. So for a battleship that would be 5 out of 9? Or is it 4 out of 7? It would be 4 out of 7, which... Sure. Sure. Like, to me, like, as you say, over 50% of segments, so... 4 out of 7, 3 out of 5... That's alright for me. That sounds alright. I will, if the custom battle allows me. Yeah, Scharnhorst is just now sailing around with 29% buoyancy. Let's see if we can knock out his frontal guns. Like this segment right here on the front gun, if that takes him down. Also, I do want to reinstate is that this system replaces the permanent flooding system that we currently have on live. Yeah, exactly, bleeding uranium, that's what we've been saying. So, over 50% of segments, yep, just that. To me, that sounds agreeable, sure. But let's see if I can knock out that frontmost segment. Well, not... Yep. Just another segment, really. But, let's just test air troops. I don't want to keep shooting at the Scharnhorst. It's gonna get me depressed. Let's just get ourselves a... Not ready. There we go. Okay, fine. Aerial torpedoes. We'll go to Japan. Because fun. Change vehicle. Let's go to aviation. H6K would work. It has 2 torpedoes. Fine. Anything else I need to test? Probably not. Let's just test airdrop torpedoes. Was there anything else? I get the feeling I keep forgetting something. Oh well, you'll probably remind me. There we go. Bridge hull break, yeah. But we'll get our test subject to be in a boat for that. Also, I need to go back into a something armed with actual torpedoes. Let's take the good ones, which I think are these. They have better filler as well. Let's try and make it down without crashing this plane. Okay, why is it doing that? Probably just some H6K things. So, Sam, if you could just come to a halt so I can actually torpedo you easily. I'll torpedo your rear segments and see if it does anything. What is the speed of these torpedoes again? Maximum? Oh, 556, that's fine. This plane will never reach that. An altitude 260. I'll just drop one torpedo and see what happens. Okay, there goes my cameraman. Let's just see what that does. Get out of here. That knocked out a segment. No? What did that do? It seemed to have knocked out all the internals, but I didn't see if it actually knocked out the hull segment or not. Let's go for actual middle. It's rear screws, okay. We shouldn't have picked a H6K, a big hole, okay. Let's go for the middle of the ship. Our air-drop torpedoes usually don't do much damage. Of course, this one's flooded, so I might be hitting the upper belt rather than the main belt. That didn't seem to do anything. I'm gonna take a quicker bomber though for now, because this H6K is just not gonna work, is it? Do I not have naval bombers here? Don't turn this slot. Let's take a B6. And you take an Akazuki. And spam the 2 battle button, there we go. And let's try some more torpedo runs. I'm mainly interested to see if this will actually, though I don't think it changed anything to how torpedoes interact with main armored belts, or they just don't really do anything. But let's see if I hit his stern, if that'll cause some significant damage. Okay. Could you? Well, you should be able to have repaired the buoyancy from the torpedo attack, right? Or did you not? Yeah. No. Oh, because you're below the threshold, you can no longer repair flooding. Is that what it is? That damages those segments. Of course, it's the stern itself, so it doesn't really matter. Sinking. Well, spawn in a fresh Scharnhorst and we'll see what it does. One torpedo. And then I'll get a 800 kilo bomb and see what that does. Although, actually no. I know that bombs do not do hydrostatic shock. Because the patch notes specifically say torpedoes and mines. They do not mention bombs. I don't think so. They would have mentioned it if they do. Also, I didn't get any kind of damage count from that torpedo hit, so I have no clue what kind of damage I did. Bow dark red. Okay, it doesn't really matter if it's the bow. I know, but that might just be something I'll try later on. Let's get to the main belt. Now that it's actually at proper height. If it actually arms in time, which it did. Non-penetration, that's to be expected. Did I actually knock out a crew compartment in the bow? Yes, American planes get the best airdrop torpedoes. Okay. I wouldn't know if that's something new though, knocking out the crew compartment. Might be. Might not be. Hellcat is a good torpedo delivery device, yeah. Okay, let's go for front guns. Non-penetration because it's belt. I'll have to do more research into the. I'll have to do more research into what the hydrostatic shock actually does. Yeah. But it seems like the hydrostatic shock doesn't really do anything to help the 1 meter depth thing. And yeah, airdrop torpedoes are always 1 meter depth, at least in realistic. I don't know about arcade. It's funny that it doesn't actually note that the bow is now knocked out, but it is. Yeah, I think we're almost there when it comes to battleship testing. So let's just put one more torpedo into it. That knocked out the second one. On my screen at least, that knocked out the second compartment. That's because I was aiming at the seam in between where the armor starts and where the bow ends. I know, Halo, I know. But then again, I did knock out the second one, didn't I? I don't know. It's a dev server thing. You know what? Time if you could get into a PT boat with the hull brake mechanic. And we'll see if I can knock it out by just shooting the bridge. Let's get APDS. So I have less splash damage to worry about.
Secure the ship for sea. Starboard your helm.
And we'll see what this does.
Steer starboard.
Port your helm.
Aye, steer port.
Sure. If you have one of those, sure. But let's see what happens. Ideally, maybe both. So switch between the two. Well, yeah, obviously they don't. They're APDS. But you don't need an explosive shell for hull break, to my knowledge. No, you don't. I know you don't. Because it's just a certain damage threshold and nothing else. Now, I have to make sure to actually hit the bridge and not the whole segment directly below it.
Engines, all stop.
So I'm going to get a bit closer. And not sail into the mines you dropped. And let's see what we can do. Overheating the gun is already a good start, I guess. So I apologize for that. Let's see what we can do. once the gun is cooled down again. I'm not gonna hold break with bridge. I'm just gonna kill your crew. Because let's see if I can just hold break you normally. Yeah. I don't know any boats with a wooden hull and a steel... No. Wood top and steel bottom. I don't know any of those. No, I don't. But I don't think you can hull break through the bridge.
Helm, hard aport.
At least it wasn't readily visible on that ship. That's a valid question and probably something we'll do after this little test.
Stop. Target identified.
I'll get a Brooklyn and then we'll see what that kind of HE can do to a Scharnhorst.
Starboard your helm.
Aye, steer starboard.
Just gonna come to a stop. Now, do you want me to hit the bridge or just the superstructure? You know what, let's see. That's hitting the hull now, and I overheated the gun again. Oh, I forgot how much this Vulcan overheats. I'm just gonna shoot the bridge.
Direct hit.
And let's see if I can just hold break it normally. Can I not hold break Christian der Grosse?
Direct hit.
Oh, I'm so confused. Yeah, I know Christian der Grosse has a wooden hull.
Enemy hit.
It's so, yeah, fun, isn't it? Having a mechanic you just don't know which boat to apply to and which don't. Oh, okay. Well, Sam, can I bother you with another Scharnhorst spawn, and I'll get a Brooklyn. We'll see if that does the trick quickly or not. Not ready. There we go. US. Brooklyn. Fargo could work, but I want the Brooklyn itself because funny. Roanoke could also work. There we go, Brooklyn. There we go. We'll go with just VT. No base fuse HE. Well, let's just see what
Engines, flank speed.
let's see what
Port all.
just HE can do. Let's just do the main guns as well. No secondaries.
Engines, all stop. Helm,
And I guess I'll just start blasting.
Helmet ships.
Doing some damage already.
Enemy hit.
So what I'll do with this one, I'll sync the charms with HE, and then I want to do a run of AP to see if it's easier or harder.
Airborne target destroyed.
That was an accident. He got in the way of the shells.
Shells on target.
I'm still hitting superstructure, need to hit the hull.
Enemy listening and losing speed.
Let's relock. Also, Sam, if you could come to a halt, that would be great. It's not knocking out this. It got them to yellow quickly, but it's not knocking them out yet. And again, it might just be my rather poor gunnery.
Direct hit.
Okay, there goes our first red segment. You know what? Shoot. Let's see what happens.
Shells on target.
Could be worse.
Direct hit.
Yep, I've got one reddened hull segment. That will also be a worthwhile test. I'll try and remember that. Well, after I'm done with the. You know what? Let me get the Alaska real quick after I'm done with the Scharnhorst. After I'm done shooting the Scharnhorst of HE, then we'll continue with AP shells first on the Brooklyn, and then we'll get to Alaska getting shell room detonated. I wouldn't say that HE spamming a Scharnhorst is viable really with the Brooklyn. It's possible, but it's well, the thing is, I need to get a battleship anyways to penetrate the Kron. So I might as well take the Alaska. So let's. I've done what I need to do. I destroyed those whole segments. Well, that's the thing. I want to see if it does anything. So let's return to the hangar. Let me grab an Alaska. Then I'll do the AP test on Brooklyn. Then we'll see what a shell room detonation will do. And I keep forgetting I need to unready as soon as possible. Because otherwise the game will just automatically drag me into the custom battle. There we go. My Alaska. What slot was it in again? There it is. Yep, he's shit out. Let's do an AP test.
Prepare the
Then
fire
Alaska.
battle. Engines, flank speed. Port, all.
I'm not sure. Oh, you sank this time, okay. I'm not sure if I got it. I might have. The thing is, we're doing 1v1s. Battles are never 1v1s. But
Hold your helm.
I'm really curious to see how it'll affect the meta next update. I'm really curious to see what battleships will rise to the top as the best, and which ones will be less and less common. Because as much as I said that I really hated this mechanic when I saw it first, it is growing on me. It is... But it definitely needs more work. The coastal one needs more clarity, it needs less obscurity, and the blue water one needs different segments. The Moir might be, yeah. So let's see what I can do with AP.
Direct hit.
I mean, I think that I already know which is the worst battleship in game at the moment, and those are the French ones. Though I haven't tried out the Dunkirk class yet, the other ones, not great. Yeah, exactly. I think somebody has already made the suggestion that what it needs to be is 50% plus 1. So on battleships which have usually... Is it 9 segments you can flood, or is it 7? It's 7. 7 segments you can knock out. They need to have 4. And for destroyers which have 5, it'd be 3. Stuff like that. In other words, the majority. If you knock out the majority of the available segments that you can knock out for it, sure. But that needs to be like the minimum. Maybe more, maybe less, who knows.
Enemy hit. Direct hit.
Let's just see how long it takes for me to knock out one of those compartments.
Target on fire. Enemy hit.
I can already see all the discussions I'm going to have with people about which shell type is better now, whether or not it's AP or HE.
Shells on target.
Because the thing is, whilst I'm shooting him with AP, I'm doing more damage. I'm getting internals, you know? And it seems to be about as effective in knocking out the compartment. Exactly. That's the thing. I can't tell which shell is better either. Which is going to be very difficult to convince people you should use one shell or the other. The thing is, the question then becomes, okay, if both shells are equally as effective at knocking out whole compartments, what do you actually want to do then? Because what HE will do is knock out secondaries and anti-air guns. What AP will do is knock out internal crew compartments, if it can pen, and internal compartments. That's what AP will do. So which of the two effects do you actually appreciate more then? The other thing I always sarcastically or ironically love about these changes is my previous tutorials I did years ago are just no longer correct. Just no. But if I do make a video to correct them, guess what? Maybe it'll change again in half a year and then the correction is incorrect. Fun stuff. I think it's about as fast. I'm just not hitting the compartments. I keep hitting the decks. And I think the Sharness is a little bit more angled as well. Still have plenty of time, don't we? Yeah. And yeah, knockout segments. It's possible. So let me get the Alaska and see what a detonation does to it. If it doesn't outright, you know, sink by detonation. Okay, full ammo load. Yeah, I know. So it's not a completely one-to-one test. I need to switch off my gunners.
Hard a port, aye.
I think if you're in a battleship to battleship engagement, AP will still be the better choice just because of the additional internal damage you'll do. But having stock HE is no longer as big of a detriment. I think that is what this change does in terms of actual meta.
Damage control to firefighting crew. Control burning compartments. Engines, all stop.
But I think to truly see what it'll do to the meta of the live servers, we'll have to wait until it goes live. I think you're hitting a bit high, Sam. And that was just an instant detonation kill. Which is what happens to Alaska as well.
Helm, hard a port.
Hard a port, aye.
Engine.
I can't wait until we get the Iowas though. This whole shape for a battleship is so nice. That's also the thing, right? I'm really excited for new ships we'll get because they have said that they want to complete the battleships this year, which is really interesting, especially since we got that Olivia leak saying that they're working on Sovietsky Soyuz, which is the pinnacle of Russian battleships.
Engines, full speed.
Okay, that is a. Wait, I'm dead. I've got hull breaches all over the ship. I'm already. What does it say, Sam? That's a visual block, okay. But
Damage
it's
control to repair parties.
so from what I'm seeing, I don't have any hull segments knocked out. You're fine. Okay, yep, that's what I thought. And the flooding I have is just the one from the magazine detonation. Okay. So, well, that's good, because that means that this whole saturation thing is not tied directly to sheer explosive force. That's good. That's good to see. In my opinion, at least. Well, the thing is, Striker, but the end of battleships doesn't mean the end of World War II. There's still a handful of cruisers to add, a few destroyers, submarines, aircraft carriers. And then, maybe, Cold War.
Damage control to repair parties. Pump out
But also, I personally don't consider Cold War to be like this step above battleships.
watertight integrity.
Because battleships will royally mess up Cold War vessels when it comes to how this game works. But that's... We'll see when we get there, I think. When it comes to Cold War era vessels. But first, I'm more excited for the end-of-the-line battleships, submarines, and then maybe carriers soonish. Well, no. What they said is they have no plans to introduce anti-ship missiles in the near future. No. So more anti-air missiles, maybe. And there's quite a few of those that can double as anti-surface missiles. But, well, we'll have to see what I find it as. Also this, unsinkability lost. Horrible name for it. Just... it's... No. They could call it spare buoyancy. They could call it a reserve buoyancy lost. They could call it buoyancy lost. You know, with unsinkability. Eesh.
Vessel losing buoyancy. Critical damage. Damage.
But yeah, that definitely needs to be 4 or even more, 5 segments.
All hands. Critical buoyancy.
It's dev server. It's not really a big thing, but yeah.
All hands.
Yep, that's indeed 2 segments. I'm dead. Now, again, they have said that they are going to change up the mechanics of this thing, the amount of HP per segment, and how many segments you need to destroy. So we'll have to see. But I think that's going to round up our testing, unless there's really some tests people want to complete. I don't think superstructure is going to get bridges are going to get hull breaks on coastal vessels. So I'm not gonna test it really. Okay. And yeah, I think that'll be it. So, shall we do a quick overview for the people that haven't joined us from the start? So, new ships we have for Germany, the S-38 replacing the LS-3 as reserve. Nothing else. America has no new ships. Russia gets a new coastal, which is kind of goofy looking. 3 Dishkas. A kind of slow boat. G5 is being replaced by D3 as a reserve. And that's right. The Archangels gets a different a different first AP shell. Britain gets Warspite coming after Marlborough, which is the Queen Elizabeth, but better crew positions than Barham for some reason. And a new reserve coastal. Yeah, exactly. I don't think the bridge is considered a whole segment, but well. New reserve coastal, which is just the Vosper MTB, but without a 20 mil. This one. Japan gets some cool new boats. They get the Matsu, which is a late war Japanese destroyer with NTR 127s, NTR guns, long lances, bit slow. Cool boat. 3.7, sits after Momi. Doesn't really have a blue water lineup, but does have a fun lineup with Chidori, I guess. Then we have a new reserve coast for Japan as well, which is Type T14 Mod 2, which is just exactly the same boat as this, but the only visual difference is the railing. The premium one has a railing on the front. The new reserve has railings here. Italy has a new destroyer, which is cool. Another early, just an actual Italian destroyer. Gives you a lineup with Dardo. Fun stuff. Actually, where is the X-ray of this thing? Big engines, ammo rackable. It's an early destroyer, what do you want of it? France gets a lot of new coastals. This goofy little thing at 3.0, making a good lineup with us. And sitting after L1959. Then they get a British Flower class. Flower class as well, sitting before L1959. And with 2 goofy guns at the rear. Then some more reserve 1.0 coastal replacements. This one getting 2 13 mils instead of 2 77s. And this one getting a 37 and 2 13 mils. And similar to this boat, it just, yeah. Other than that, there's some BR changes. The only real noticeable one is this one now being a 1.0 instead of a 1.7. Is there, Sam? I think you're just pulling my leg. Bots in naval now give you as much reward as player kills, which is major. The hull break mechanic we've been testing for the last hour. HE now has kinetic penetration, making Japanese destroyers really good again. So you can see this in the new stat card. So if the kinetic penetration angle at the bottom. Above it, you see how much the HE filler penetrates, and I think these are just added on top of each other. Because now the HE cells have a fuse delay, you know, it penetrates that much armor, and after the fuse delay, it blows up. Who knows? Torpedoes do way more damage. Well, different kind of damage, depending on their filler. The long lances are real ship killers now, for the time being. And the 15-inch gun is now more accurate, which I think I actually haven't shown yet, have I? The 15-inch gun is a lot more accurate. But that's about it. And from what I've heard, it's true. I've never really, you know, paid that close of attention to the dispersion. Especially since I don't play Battleship that much.
Prepare the ship for battle.
But let's see what we can do.
Port your helm.
You know what? Let's just stay stationary.
Fighter! Ahead! 2,000 meters!
Well, it's good if they're improving the accuracy of the big guns. Let's just wait for those rear turrets to warm up as well.
Overshot!
And we'll fire a salvo or two. You see, to me that doesn't really look all that different. Oh well. Yeah, like I've heard they're more accurate, but in the end of the day, they're still 15-inch guns. They're still a bit, you know. Okay. There might be a bit more consistency in the accuracy, but they're still wide.
Shells on target.
Yeah, I've heard that they are more accurate. In the code, they seem to be more accurate. They are more accurate. It's just that they are still battleship guns in this game, and they are, yeah. Oh well. I'm not really entirely sure how the accuracy changed. It's also I've never really had a problem with 15-inch accuracy before. And battleship accuracy in general. Another thing that also changed is that Rodney now has a shorter reload, ever so slightly.
The ship for battle.
Let's see how much shorter. I think it went with an aced crew. It went from 40 seconds to 35. And with a stock crew, it is now 45. So yeah, with an ace crew, it went from 40 to 35.
Stations.
So yeah, a 5-second... No.
Target destroyed.
It's a 5-second reduction from 40 to now 35. It is not 30 seconds now, it's 35.
Enemy
Which is still an improvement. 5 seconds do matter, believe it or not. But it's an improvement. Other than that, I think I've covered everything that is to come for Naval this update. And yeah, this is of course a dev server. There can be more ships that we don't know of yet. There may be more in the data mines. We'll find out when the live update drops, I guess. I'm going to keep a close eye on the hull break mechanics, for both for blue water ships and for coastals, see what's going on with that. But as usual, I will do a big update summary video when the update actually hits the live server. I will cover everything in that. But yeah, before I end the stream, if there's anything non-naval related, people just want to see the stats of, now that I'm on the dev server, maybe you don't have access to the dev server, ask ahead. I can just look at some stat cards. Of course, I don't really have anything to add to aircraft and tank stuff. But if there's anything funny, But I don't actually think I own any plane with that button. Or do I? I wonder. Also, Sam, you said something about Paula? Before I keep forgetting? Other than it just being a gorgeous heavy cruiser. Oh right, I can test drive the premium F-18. Let's see what this can do then, I guess. Jesus. I have no clue what any of this does. Let's just fly this thing. Spawn point, let's go 2 km. And arcade battles is probably not the best way, is it? Let's assign that to Control B.
Sam, 9 o'clock. Critical speed.
The Cobra button.
Critical speed.
Ugh. Let's see if we can actually cover this plane. There we go. Yeah, that button is going to get people killed, and it's so funny. Doesn't really do much in arcade, by the looks of it. Although you can throw your plane around. Okay, engine's off, maybe. Oh boy. It's a funny thing though. And to be honest, it is something that a lot of competitive aircraft players have been using, I think. And it now being a normal button, so you don't have to switch your mouse keyboard control setup. It's kind of nice. It's incredibly funny as well, so yeah. Other than that, if there's nothing else anybody wants to see a stat card about, I'll think I'll end it here for tonight. And the stream here for tonight. And probably get to grinding out the Strasbourg event, because I haven't been doing that star too regularly yet. But yeah. I'll leave it at that. And I'll see you all next week. What I'm using to grind event is anything and everything. I'm just grinding my normal lineups, and if I'm really, really getting bored about getting hammered in by good ships, Frank Knox. Always my go-to. But yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.